In this video, we're installing this Adventure King's 12-inch LED bar light. So this acts kind of like a spotlight at the front of the vehicle. It comes complete with the wiring harness, so it's a separate packet, but the wiring harness will make the installation a lot easier. And the bar comes with its number plate board that screws where the existing number plate is, and then that allows the LED bar to be mounted above the number plate. So inside the box, that's the LED bar there. This piece here, that screws where the existing number plate is, and then the LED bar mounts to the top of it. In the wiring harness kit, it comes with everything to allow you to connect to the battery, to the headlight, because it needs to be activated from the high beams when high beam lights are on. Wiring harness contains a switch. Now this switch needs to go inside the cabin, and that's going to be the focus of this video. The actual installation is pretty straightforward, and Adventure King's 4x4 Superstore have already put up a video which shows that side of it. Alright, so this video will apply to the right-hand drive models, so the Australian Holden Captiva and UK the Vauxhall Captiva. If it's the left-hand drive, things are going to be a little bit different. So the first thing to work out is where to locate the switch, which will turn the spotlights on and off. I've removed this panel already. I'm just sort of holding it in place so you can see where it went, but there is a screw inside that coin compartment, and then you pretty much just pull that panel off. It has those type of lugs which hold it on. There's one on each corner. Once you've got that piece removed, you can sort of work out where you want to put the switch. You could, if you want, have it sort of down here next to the bonnet hood release. I'm actually going to put it further down under here, so it's just out of the way altogether. You can still easily reach that. There's room on the other side for the wiring to come out of it, and the other thing too is that you don't notice it. Whereas if you put it up here, I mean, like, this is just a Captiva, so it doesn't really matter anyway. You can put it here if you want. It's visible. You just need to make sure, because there is a panel here, so you have to go very close to that section here if you want to mount the switch there. But that bit's fairly straightforward. Just cutting a hole in the plastic, putting the switch through. The difficult part of this job is to work out to get the wiring through. Now, you'll notice on the passenger side, I've removed the whole glove box. I did this so I could have a look under there and see the wiring where it comes through the firewall, but you can't actually see it. You've got the blower motor right in the way, so you can't actually see where the wiring comes in. I can show you in the engine bay, and then again it's sort of right behind the strut housing, and it's just difficult to go that way. I'll just show you anyway, just so for reference, you know, because the American left-hand drives will be different. And the main wiring harness comes from below the fuse box and underneath the reservoir for the coolant, and it actually goes into the firewall behind this strut tower here. So you can remove both of these items and get to it that way, but then there's just not enough wiggle room to get your hand in there to even neatly put the wires through it without causing problems. There's just not enough room because you've got brake lines and stuff in the way as well. So the way I'm decided to do it is from the driver's side, and if you look down in here, so next to the brake booster, there's the brake booster there, that big round thing. You can see in the firewall there 3 studs, and where those studs are right there, it's very easy to drill a hole through the firewall from the other side. So I'll show you where that location is now. Okay, so inside the vehicle now, and then I'll just sort of point out that spot. You've got heaps of room here. to hold your drill. Those spots here are where those rivets were, and then the hole would need to be sort of here in the middle somewhere. So if it's there, then it's very easy to get there and make a hole, and then I've got grommets to put on the other side. Okay, so I have drilled a small hole right there between those three studs. That little white spot is the hole, and I just need to work out what size to make it. So I've got different size grommets. I'm thinking make it a little bit bigger, because if you ever add another accessory in there, it would be a pain to have to take the grommet out, unthread cables through, drill again. So even something that size may be better. So we will just work our way up and then just make the hole a bit bigger. Okay, so progress update. So I've drilled a 12mm hole and fitted a grommet in that hole now. So what I need to do now is just, I need to make sure the grommet fits there before I mess around and put cables through. So what we can do now is get the cable for the switch through that grommet, and then from that point we can work out the rest of the job. Alright, so before we thread those wires through the grommet for the switch, we need to work out the path that it's going to follow, because it might be easier to thread, because you've got a relay connected to the end of that. It's probably easier to work out where we want that to go, just so we can thread it through and make things a bit easier, because the hardest bit was getting the hole through the firewall and working out where that's going to go. The rest of it is pretty much straightforward. Alright, so what I've done, I've taken out the grommet again, threaded the cable behind the reservoir box how I want it, because the relay is going to just go in that corner there where next to the battery. I've threaded the grommet on here, because it wasn't too hard to get them through. You just had to undo the sheath on there, slide that down, get them through one at a time, but that was easy. Now I just need to get that back into the firewall. Okay, so that cable is threaded through the firewall now. The next step is to work out the connection that goes to the headlight bulb, which is this end here, and then there's a connector that goes with it. So I just need to access the back of the headlight. I'll just take off that panel so I can get to where the wiring is. Alright, so to go through the steps, you undo the bolt there, screw and screw, then that piece comes off. You then need to take out the plastic rivet here, undo them two bolts, and then there's another bolt right down here. So you can lift up that flap a bit to get into there, or you can take that whole flap off if you like. Then the headlight will just slide forward. Okay, so I've got to the headlight connectors where the bulbs are. So the supplied ones, they look like that. So that's no good, and the other one was like this, and that's no good either. Even if that did fit, because the way the covers go on here, it seals everything up, you still need this end here to come out of it. So what we need to do, all this does is pretty much connects the wiring to these. That's the high beam light here, so when that comes on, it just sends 12 volts to the relay to turn on the LED light as well. So what we need to do then is just this end here, directly connect that to the wiring that comes into it for these two wires here. So that's the black and a green, and then just splice them into here. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Okay, so using the multimeter, I've determined that this pin here is the earth pin, and then that one there is for high beam, which connects to the green wire. Just need to check the colours on those now. Okay, so on the actual adapter, so that correlates to this one here, that is the black. They've kept the colours the same. The green one is this green and white. So we just need to splice into those, and we can probably cut this one shorter because that's what's going to connect directly to it. Okay, so that's how I've got that done. So I cut off obviously this bit here, because because that's not needed, and then just connect directly splice those wires into there, and I've got that wire coming through this hole here, just to make things a bit neat and tidier. This, I'll put some electrical tape around there just to make that nice and neat, and then put that headlight back in there. Actually, before I do that, we'll work out where we're going to have the wiring for the actual LED, because it's probably easier to do it now while the headlight's not on. Okay, so I've removed the number plate. The number plate is bolted on here. I used the anti-theft screws, so it actually took a while to actually get these out. I've threaded the cable here, so there is a bit of a gap on this very first one. It's small, like stretch it a bit and you'll get the end of the cable through. I've mounted the LED bar to that backing plate, so that will pretty much just sort of sit here, and there's enough room for adjustment, so it'll probably just sort of go there, that height there, because then the cable sort of sits level with the hole that it goes through, and then you don't see it. So like that, that's sort of how it will be. You can adjust the tilt on that as well, but I'm just going to use normal nuts and bolts to hold it on there for now, and then because it will need to come off to adjust the tilt. Okay, so I've got the bracket and the number plate and the light all back on there now, so you can still see a bit of the cable at the top here, but the whole light can be still lifted up one bar to improve it, but for now that'll do. So the cable's in, so the next job now is to connect that up and then run it through the bumper somehow. So that's not too difficult, there's plenty of room in there. I just need to do it and then cable tie it, make it look neat. Okay, so the battery is back in now. I've got the power connected up to the battery, positive and negative. This is all just left sitting loose for now. I still need to screw the headlight back in. What I need to do next is just test it, and then if I'm happy with it all, sort out the wiring and just use some cable ties to keep it nice and neat, and then finish off and do the switch inside. Okay, so that functions as it should. So the switch inside, when you turn it on, when the vehicle's on high beam, the switch lights up when it's on, and then the LED bar comes on as well. Okay, so I'll just show you this section here. So the relay bolts down to one of those, there's a couple of bolts that sort of stick up, and there's enough thread on them to slide the relay on and bolt it down. So that's all fixed in that spot. The only thing I don't like is how this is very close to the negative terminal. So at some point maybe I'll extend that. Alright, let me just show you the switch. Okay, so inside the cabin I've got the switch mounted on this part here, next to where the bonnet opener is. So you'll still see the red light glowing on there, but it won't be like bright in your eyes. When you're driving, you can easily reach it there, and then it doesn't spoil the effect of how everything else looks by seeing that switch in the way. The other thing too, there are a lot of cars have like empty switches over here, but unfortunately it doesn't. This one here is blank, but there's no way you can get the button in there. The other place I thought about putting it was under here, but it was difficult to get into there. It was just too much hassle pulling out the whole center console. Alright, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching my videos.